We want to get back to our coverage of Derek Chauvin's conviction this morning. So the former Minneapolis police officer was found guilty of murdering George Floyd last summer in Minneapolis. This was after he was kneeling on his neck for more than 8 minutes. All of it's caught on camera. George Floyd was handcuffed. He was face down on the ground when it happened. So that former police officer, he's behind bars this morning at a Minnesota corrections facility awaiting sentencing. I want to bring in Dr. David Thomas. He's a forensic studies professor at Florida Gulf Coast University and also a former police chief. So he can give us an interesting perspective on this and weigh in. So good morning, Dr. Thomas, first of all.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. So this is really a historic case. It's not often that we see a police officer convicted of murder. This is just the 5th case that we know of. So how do you think that this is going to impact policing? Are we going to see changes not only here in Southwest Florida, but across the country?
I think in one respect it already has, because I know where we would recruit classes of 40, 50, or 60, they're down to 20. So it's not a profession that people are eyeing to get into. On the other side of that, my fear is, like, in different parts of the country, there'll be different things that occur. In the state of Florida, I would think because of the most recent passage of the anti-riot law, there is a stance that we want to keep things status quo. So the reality is that agencies are going to have to kind of get into this themselves with their neighborhoods and their communities in order to facilitate change.
You know, everyone was kind of holding their breath yesterday, waiting for the verdict to be read. What were your thoughts on the conviction? Were you surprised by it? Because, again, like I already said, it's kind of rare to see this type of trial play out and result, really.
Right. I saw some data this morning that when you talk about rare, it's like 1 in 2,000 officers who are charged are actually convicted. I was happy to see it happen. It was long overdue, and I think in the minority communities who felt and feel that they have been that these atrocities have gone on forever, at least this gives some hope that things may be turning and going in the right direction. And it's time for policing the culture. It needs to change, and I think this is probably the beginning of that.
As the verdict was being read, literally just like 30 minutes beforehand, in Columbus, Ohio, a 16-year-old was shot and killed by police there. How does this verdict and this case change that and change how officers react in those moments?
I don't know if it changes it. I think that what has to happen is that we need to reimagine and we need to reevaluate our training and the quality, what we're putting out. I think that's where we have to go, is we really have to do some soul searching and kind of figure out what we need to be doing.
Absolutely. And let's just talk a little bit about Derek Chauvin right now. We saw him walked out of the courtroom yesterday evening in handcuffs. So he is in a correctional facility right now. It's going to be like 2 months before he's actually sentenced. What happens in the next 2 months, and you know, what's next for him? Can he overturn this? Can he appeal it?
He can appeal it. I know that the judge was upset that Maxine Waters, Representative Waters, came and just kept and made the comments guilty, guilty, guilty. And I watched the judge as he told the defense, he told Chauvin's attorney, he says, look, he said, I wish politicians would be quiet, and this may be grounds for you to try to have an appeal and get this overturned. As far as Chauvin sitting in jail, he's probably in solitary confinement, and that is to protect him because the inmates have no love for him. One, he was a cop. And number 2, that he killed George Floyd. So they will have him in solitary confinement for his own protection.
Well, I'm sure we'll be hearing from you over the coming weeks while we're waiting for that sentencing to happen. And we always appreciate your insight that you give us. So thank you, Dr. David Thomas, for weighing in this morning.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Fox 4 Morning News.